everybody, I'm Tracy and I'm going to show you today how I put on my LimeLife by Alcone Perfect Foundation and Concealer. So I'm super excited about this to show you. There's like a ton of different ways that you can do this. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques that I use. So my face is all primed and ready. So I've already put on I've cleansed my face. I used my moisturizer, and I've been using our LimeLife by Alcone Due Date Facial Oil. And for me, it's been doubling as a primer, which is awesome. Primers are great because they really just set the stage on your face for your foundation. Helps it not get into all those fine lines, and I've got all sorts of lines on my face, so it's really helpful. And LimeLife actually has a fantastic setting spray a setting spray for afterwards, as well as a priming spray for beforehand. So it's nice and light. Okay, so you've got here's my perfect foundation. My color is Gina Beige. And I've also got some concealers, so you can do a couple of different things. If you have some spots that you want to conceal, you can do that before you put your foundation. You can do it after, or you could do both. I actually have my concealer number 2 that I just ordered, and it is on its way, shipping here. But I'm gonna show you just with the highlighter that I use, the concealer highlighter, how you might put that on. So here's one of the concealers, and these are the little individual ones. So I'm just gonna take my finger and just kind of rub in there a little bit, and then I'm gonna I have a little spot right here on the side of my cheek that I like to just cover up a little bit. So I'm gonna just kind of tap my concealer in there, and then you could, do a little bit under the eyes, and again, I'm just kind of tapping it a little bit. What's nice about putting it on underneath the foundation is that when you put that foundation on, that's what's really gonna blend it in. So I'm just kind of tapping this into place, kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my foundation, and there's 2 different techniques that I'm gonna show you today. So you can apply this foundation, this is a cream-based foundation, so you can apply it with a sponge. So this is the LimeLife by Alcone Blenderful blender sponge. I've been using this and I really like it. What's cool about it is when you first get it or after you clean it, you run it under water and then squeeze all the excess water out, and it plumps up. See how like big and puffy it is? It's awesome. So that's one technique. You could also use, regular other sponges if you wanted to. Or you could also use brushes. So I'm gonna show you, there's see this kind of a little bit fluffy brush, or you could use like a super fluffy brush to put the foundation on. And each one of these techniques is gonna give you a slightly different look. So if you want a little bit of a lighter look, the brushes are a great technique. You can even get a lighter look using the sponge if you get it a little bit damp before you apply it. Or if you want a little bit of a more full coverage sort of look, you can use the blender sponge. So here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna take this foundation, this brush, and in my foundation, I'm just gonna kind of swirl it around a little bit. And then what you want, let me get my hair out of the way. What you wanna do is kind of just put it on, and you wanna kind of buffer it into your skin. So I'm kind of like tapping, and kind of buffering it. I'm gonna use a little bit of a swirl technique. For me, I have lots of lines and stuff on my face, so I really try to avoid wiping it in, because what you don't want to do is, push it into those lines. So if you need a little more, go back in there. I get a little bit rosy right there on the top of my cheek, so I'm just gonna do a little bit more there. Okay, so there's kind of one side, and it's important to make sure that you go down onto your neck, because you're really wanting to blend that in. Okay, so there's one, and I'm going to show you the blender sponge. So this is, and mine is actually a little bit damp because I cleaned mine just yesterday, so it's been drying. So I'm gonna take my foundation and the blender sponge and I kind of like twist it in there a little bit. See how you got that foundation all over there? And then you kind of like tap it in, and you can even like do a little bit of swirl motions. Again, trying to avoid the wiping. So twist and tap. There we go. Again, down onto the neck. Okay, and see how you can see still a little bit of that rosiness. I'm gonna just go back in and get a little bit more right on top of there. Okay, so see, just a little bit, just kind of your preference. You know, this side has got a little bit of that dewy look, and that's because my sponge was a little bit damp. And it just really is up to your preference, you know, whatever it is that you like. So I'm just gonna kind of finish this up really quick and put the rest of this on. What I love about this foundation is I personally like a full coverage look, and it doesn't feel heavy. Like literally, I forget I'm even wearing foundation half the time, which is amazing, especially if you're somebody like me that's used to wearing, like I've used liquid foundation for so long, and it can have a really heavy feel. The other thing about this foundation is that, and actually all of the LimeLife products, they're super pigmented, so a little bit is gonna go a really long way. So, you know, if you were a little heavy-handed and got kind of a streak on there, just lots of tapping and blending, which makes it really nice. Or, see, same thing with my brush here. I can just kind of go around, make sure I've blended it to how I like it. Okay, so now back to concealers. If you are wanting if you have some spots you want to cover, again, you could put that concealer back on top of your foundation, you know, if I wanted to tap it in a little bit there, but I don't know, I think it covered it really, really well. But another great way to bring out your features is to use a highlighter. And so we have a concealer that is the number 0 concealer, and it just does a really great job of kind of bringing out those features. So I'm going to, and I'm just using a little concealer brush here. You could use your finger for the highlight. I like the brush just because I can kind of control it a little bit more. So I'm just gonna go down the bridge of my nose, and I know that looks crazy, but I'm gonna blend it, I promise. And right above my lip there. And then I'm gonna kind of make like almost a triangle shape under my eyes, because I really want to highlight this area. Kind of make sure we don't see any of those dark circles. I don't know about you guys, but I get dark circles under my eyes. So I'm super excited for my concealer number 2 to come in, because I think that that's gonna do an excellent job. I also go just a little bit under this brow line, and you'll do more of this, or I do more of this like later on, once the rest of my makeup is on, but it's a great starting point. Okay, so now I've got this concealer all over. So I'm gonna actually turn my brush, my blenderful around, and use this pointier, see how it's a pointier end? And I'm gonna blend it. So again, I'm tapping, I'm not wiping because you don't want to wipe that off, and you don't have to push super hard. Just real light. Tap, tap, tap. Same thing up on the nose. Tap, 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 tap. You could definitely use a concealer brush or your finger if you wanted to do this. I just really like the look and kind of how nicely it blends here. Again, just kind of, it's like an arm workout. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, and then under the eyebrow. As you can see, my eyebrows and eyelashes are completely blonde, so I need all the help I can get to make them stand out. Okay, so that's pretty good. kind of all blended. See how you can just kind of, the light is pulling on those areas there, and that's kind of what we want. We want to just highlight it. Okay, and then I really like to use translucent powders because it really helps to set that foundation in. So you could use a kind of a big, I'm gonna use this big fluffy brush here, and I'm just kind of swirling it around to kind of help set that foundation and concealer in place. And what's nice about the LimeLife translucent powders, or translucent powder, it's not a loose powder, so it's not, I've used powders before where you put it on your brush and put it on your face and you're like coughing because it gets all over the place. It's nice and concentrated, so you can just get what you want and tap it on there. It's also really nice to put on like your cheekbones, like right here, after everything else is on and you've put your eyeshadow on. If you've got any sort of dropping, or if any sort of areas that you want to cover a little bit, you can just tap, tap, tap on there, and that's a really great way to cover those up. So I hope that you guys, and my little guys coming in to see me here. So anyway, I hope this was really helpful, and I hope that you love your LimeLife by Alcone foundation and concealer. Have a great day.